Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning Five here on Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024. I am Dave Biddle, for now flying solo, hoping to be joined by Matt Baxendell. Haven't heard back from Bax. We set this up last night, so maybe it just slipped his mind. Hope everything is okay, but if not, you guys are stuck with me for the show. Hopefully, we're going to have a boom today. Same day Columbus has red, white, and boom. We're going to have a scarlet, gray, and boom, we think. Justin Hill. Happy birthday to Justin Hill. The talented high four-star defensive end will announce his choice today at 1 o'clock, and it's looking good for the Buckeyes, my friends. It's not etched in stone or anything, but 1 o'clock, it's looking good for the Buckeyes. And yes, Tyler on YouTube, happy birthday. Yeah, it should be a very fun day. Mika saying happy birthday to Justin. So yeah. Yeah, I think he's going to be a Buckeye. I'm not breaking news to you guys there. I mean, pretty much everybody who does this for a living thinks he's going to be a Buckeye. So we'll see. Today at 1 o'clock, we'll find out about Justin Hill. Winton Woods has been very good to Ohio State recently. Jermaine Matthews on the team right now. Obviously Mayan Williams. There have been others as well. So I look for Justin Hill to become a Buckeye today. For those who don't know, he's 6'3", 220 pounds, the number 4 edge rusher in the country. Number 58 overall player nationally. So just calling him a 4-star doesn't do it justice. He is a high 4-star, very talented kid. Go get that quarterback type of young man. So really, really like that. All right, before we get to more, we're going to talk about Justin Hill. We're going to talk about Riley Pettijohn's making his decision on Saturday. So we have a post, 4th of July boom, in addition to perhaps the pre-4th of July boom that we think we're going to get today. Just, all kinds of booms are going to be happening, including the fireworks. So we're going to get to all of that. And we're going to just talk some Big Ten football this year. I did a story yesterday for the site. It's interesting. Phil Steele came out. It didn't come out. It's in his preseason magazine, 1 through 18. It's weird seeing that. The Big Ten rankings, 1 through 18. No divisions, which I'm happy, no divisions. I mean, we knew it was coming. It's still just interesting to see it 1 through 18. We're going to get into that. Spoiler, Ohio State is 1. In case you're wondering, he does have Ohio State winning the Big Ten. Before we get to that, listen, if you guys are looking for good meals that are ready super fast, Factor is what you need to get with. It's good stuff. I've been telling you guys about it. We're going to get you guys a really good deal. Factor meals. Warmer, sunnier days are calling. Fuel up for them with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you can always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you will always have new flavors to explore. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options, such as filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened chicken. That's right. Treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened chicken. All right. This is where we can get you guys a good deal. Head to factormeals.com/Bucknuts50. Use code Bucknuts50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box. That's code Bucknuts50 at factormeals.com/Bucknuts50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. I'd recommend throwing in some smoothies as well. You will not be disappointed. All right. I don't think we're going to be disappointed today with Justin Hill. I'm still curious if Bax. I'm going to get a text from Bax like a minute after the show's over. Oh, no, I forgot. No, it happens. I'm going to retweet the show right now. It automatically tweets to our Bucknuts page, but I'm going to retweet it on my account. All right. Now we're ready to roll, my friends. Okay. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good day with Justin Hill. I like these kids. It's like it's nothing new. I like when these kids announce on their birthday. Like, why not? Have fun with it and, really, really, really enjoy your birthday. So I'll be surprised if he's not a Buckeye. Very surprised. And, we'll see. Is this the year Ohio State's finally going to win it, finish with the number 1 class in the country? If they finish number 2, not number 1, you can say it really doesn't matter. It's splitting hairs. And technically I agree with that, but I always loved Urban's comment. As you guys know, it's, hey, if they're keeping score, I want to win. Ohio State's finished second so many times. I want them to finish number 1 for a change. And this might be it. So if they get Justin Hill today, that would be huge. Now, Riley Pettijohn on Saturday, it's going to be very interesting. I've been reading Bill Kurlick's great reporting on Bucknuts. I just wanted to make sure that nothing happened, in the last hour or so this morning. I'm like, so basically, I'm like, was telling the dean, I've been reading your stuff. So basically it's a toss-up with Riley Pettijohn on Saturday. He's like, yeah, he likes Ohio State a lot, but, he likes USC. Texas is in the mix. Very few crystal balls have been put in. There's some people over at On3 that are confident that maybe a little bit more confident. But nobody has put in a crystal ball pick. There's only 2 crystal ball picks in, but that was a while ago, and they're both for Texas for Pettijohn. Some believe it's a Ohio State USC battle now, but there's no crystal ball picks in for either. So this is a good one. He's a young man from McKinney, Texas. Number 4 linebacker in the country, number 31 overall player in the country. Big time. Knocking on the door to be a 5-star. When you're number 31 in the country, a lot of times they'll have 32 guys who are 5-stars, because if you're, in the top 32, in theory, you're a first-round pick, right? So he's really knocking on the door to be a 5-star. That'd be a great get for James Laurinaitis. Can he pull that in? We shall see. I would not put anything past James Laurinaitis. So we'll see if that happens. Let me get to some of your comments over here. If you guys have any questions for the live audience, fire them my way. And if I don't get to it right away, fire them to me again. Sometimes it's hard to keep up with when you're doing it solo. All right. Just a lot of good morning, Bucknuts. Good morning, Bucknutters. I love it. No questions quite yet, but just fire some more questions my way. All right. Mello says it's crazy Phil has Georgia winning the Natty. Well, I mean, they are the Vegas favorite. I think Ohio State's going to win the title. Mike is saying no sound. I hope that's just an issue on I don't hope it's on your end. I think most people can hear the show. Is that just an issue for Mike on Facebook? I hope so. Hopefully we get that fixed for Mike. Yeah, so let's get to – I'm going to get back to recruiting. Let's get to this real quick, though. So I find this interesting. So I'm not going to go through 1 through 18, but I'll go through like the top 6. So Phil Steele, Big Ten rankings heading into the season. Ohio State 1, Oregon 2, Penn State 3rd, Michigan 4th, Iowa 5th, USC 6th. He actually has then Nebraska 7th, Rutgers 8th, Wisconsin 9th. So interesting there. So again, Ohio State 1, Oregon 2, Penn State 3, Michigan 4, Iowa 5, USC 6. What's interesting there is Ohio State plays Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, and Iowa. So in theory, teams 2 through 5. And of the top 5, nobody else plays more than 2 other than Ohio State, who plays 4. Nobody else plays 2. So like, for example, Michigan only plays 2 of those teams. I think Penn State only plays 1, maybe 2. Iowa only plays 1 of those other 4. So some of those teams have, kind of – people look at Ohio State's schedule and they're like, oh, it's an easy schedule. It is non-conference. If you look intra-conference, it's actually not, because they have to play at Oregon, at Penn State. So the number 2 and 3 teams in the conference, according to Phil Steele and according to the Vegas rankings, odds, I should say. So you have to go at Oregon, at Penn State, Michigan here, Iowa here. I really think it's a 3-4 game regular season, because that's the thing. The 3 non-conference games are easy, and then the other Big Ten games are easy. I mean, you're talking about, Phil Steele was writing about how like Ohio State actually has a tough Big Ten slate because of the Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, Iowa. Yeah, true, but they also play the 3 worst teams on Phil Steele's list. He's got Northwestern 16th. And then he's got bracketed together as 17th, tied for 17th. He's got Purdue, and he's got Michigan State. How about Michigan State? Now, it's their new coach. I mean, I think was a decent hire getting him from Oregon State. You do wonder if Oregon State was still in a Pac-5 or a Power 5 conference, not the Pac or the Pac-2. Would they be able to pluck them? Probably still would have been. It's Oregon State, but I think that was a good hire by Michigan State, but Mel Tucker left that program in ruins. I mean, it's going to be probably at least a 2-year rebuild. This year and next year they'll be rebuilding. Maybe by year 3 you can have them in contention, but it's kind of weird seeing Michigan State dead last out of 18 teams, tied with Purdue. But Ohio State plays both those teams and Northwestern. They also have Indiana on the slate. So Ohio State has a lot of, in theory, easy Big Ten games. It really is a 4-game regular season. Some might say it's a 3-game regular season, because Iowa's going to be very good. They're going to be their defense will be good. I mean, their offense won't be good. We know that it'll be improved, but that's the lowest bar ever. But does anybody think Iowa coming here to Columbus is really going to give Ohio State that great of a game? This Ohio State team, I certainly do not. Let's see how many questions we have here. By the way, what we should we should do like a little we should all throw in $5 and what is Bax's excuse? Oh, if you had hot water, now I feel bad. If you have hot water heater just blew up, you win. I'm getting choked up thinking about Bax's hot water heater blowing up on him. All right, well, we I'm not new at this. We'll do the show solo. All right. All right, let's go back to some recruiting talk. So, and we'll get back to a more just Ohio State football talk too. We'll get more back to Ohio State football talk. But yeah, recruiting. I mean, I just love this class, not just because it's the number one class in the country. That's a huge reason why. But what do we see in this class that maybe we haven't seen, at least to this extent, in previous classes? Defense heavy. Still, very good offensive players in the class. You got, Tavian St. Clair, other studs in the class, obviously. But, man, top 2 corners in the country. They're starting to load up on that defensive line. About ready to get another one today. If Laurinaitis can get Pettijohn, I'm convinced James Laurinaitis is going to be an all-star recruiter here, regardless of what happens with Riley Pettijohn. But, I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic that Laurinaitis is going to get that done. What Tim Walton's doing. Matt Guerrieri kind of gets lost in the shuffle because it's like secondary I'll give. And, rightfully so, Tim Walton's earned his keep and then some. You hear secondary, you kind of just, Tim Walton. But Guerrieri is doing a good job with the safeties, helping out, even though Tim Walton's probably with the safeties, he's probably still the point person. Maybe not with all of them, but they're doing it's just a lot of fun. Let's look at the updated. So we were talking about this on Monday's show with Dan Rubin. It's very interesting when you look at how close the average player ranking is between Ohio State and Oregon. We're talking 1/100th of a point. 1/100th of a point. Oregon only has 14 commits. Now, Oregon, they might take a little dip here as they start to get more commits. Ohio State's been able to keep not like the 95 player rating they had for a minute, but they've been able to keep it sky high despite now having a lot of commits in the class. But I love looking at this. And again, I just have a feeling this is the year Ohio State's going to win it, finish first. It's crazy how many times they finished second. Going back to that 2002 class, Jim Tressell's best class, the one that had a bunch of highly rated guys in. I think Mike DeAndrea might have been the most highly rated guy in it, and Bobby Carpenter was the second highest rated linebacker. And then AJ Hawk was kind of the throw in. You had, my gosh, you had everybody in that class. You had Maurice Clarett in that class. Troy Smith was in that class. Troy wasn't very highly rated. Justin Zwick was a highly rated quarterback in that class. You had Santonio Holmes in that class, Roy Hall. I mean, that was just absolutely stacked. Nick Mangold, who wasn't very highly rated, but wasn't like that lowly rated. Rob Sims, on and on and on and on and on. That class, that 2002 class finished number 2 to Texas and Vince Young. And that's kind of what started. And that 2002 class ended up being phenomenal. Crux of the national championship team. And no, I shouldn't say the crux. Those guys were freshmen that year, but ended up having great years and great careers. And it was just a fantastic class. If we went back and re-ranked it, maybe Texas still would be number 1 because Vince Young carried so much weight, but the depth of that class for Ohio State was amazing. And I'm going to skip ahead to 2013. That class was just, that was the crux of the 2014 national championship team. That 2013 class, so Joey Bosa, Von Bell, Ezekiel Elliott, all those guys. JT Barrett was in that class, on and on and on. Darren Lee was very lowly rated at, compared to his guys in his class. He was a 3-star, but just the guys in that class, you look at that 2013 class, unbelievable. No doubt if they went back and re-ranked it, Eli Apple was in that class, Garyon Conley. Go back and look at it. If they would re-rank that 2013 class, there's no doubt Ohio State would finish number 1. They finished number 2. 2017 is another one. They finished 2. I think if they re-ranked that one, they finished 1. That was J.K. Dobbins, Jeff Okuda, Baron Browning. We're going down to Texas. We're taking whoever we want. That was that class. And many other studs were in that class. And the last one I'll mention is 2021. These guys who are going to be seniors this year, okay, they don't have any gold pants. They don't have any Big Ten championships, and that's going to change this year, in my opinion. They finished number 2 in the nation in recruiting. And Can't say yes yet. If you went back and re-ranked it, they'd be number one. Maybe this year they'll prove that had Marvin, all the guys back this year, like JT, Sawyer, all these guys, Tyleek, Emeka Egbuka, had Marvin Harrison Jr. in the class, of course. That's already panned out pretty well. Denzel Burke, Jordan Hancock, phenomenal class. And these guys, most of them, except for Marv, are all still here, which is unbelievable. I mean, Kyle McCord's obviously not still here, but that's because the Buckeyes upgraded. Hopefully Bax. We'll do this show solo. Hopefully Bax is just taking care of business. So the Buckeyes right now, 22 commits. Going to be 23 today, right? Is that where we're at? Yeah, okay. That's what we're going with. Scarlet, Gray, and Boom. So 93.7 is the average player ranking for Ohio State. Oregon's checking in at 93.69. Ohio State 93.70. Oregon 93.69. 1/100th of a point separates the Ducks and the Bucks, the new Big Ten rivals. Interesting, because Oregon's also a 1-point favorite over Ohio State on the field this year. I hope it stays that way. So we'll see. I mean, that'll give them a nice little bump if they get Buckeyes, if they get Justin Hill today. If they get Justin Hill today, Riley Pettijohn on Saturday, and get some of these guys, obviously if they get David Sanders Jr., if they get all three of those, and they're set up, they're in good position with a lot of their targets. And obviously not going to get probably even half of the guys that they really, really want that are still unsigned or uncommitted. But they're in a good position with a lot of them. They could get in a spot where they're going to be really, really hard to catch if they can get Hill today, Pettijohn Saturday, and then David Sanders Jr. in the near future. I know pipe dream, but maybe not. Maybe not that crazy, because I think they're going to get Hill today. I think it's almost 50-50 with Pettijohn. Sanders, I don't know if I can put a percentage on it. I know he loves Ohio State. I know the right people are working on him. But I don't know. I don't have a good feel for that one. I know he loves Ohio State, though. I feel like kind of comfortable putting a 50% on Pettijohn. Sanders, it's tough to say. I get some it's hard. I haven't here. If you guys have asked any questions, please shoot them my way again. It's been really, really hard to keep up with you guys. I love that we got a lot of people in here, though. Do we have somebody doing spam? Yakov, nothing to what are my 4th of July plans, he asked. Nothing crazy. Probably just a nice little, I'm going to go down and see my mom and dad in Dayton area, and then come back here and do a grill out for myself and my family here, my wife and daughters. Might save that for Friday. I don't know yet, but there'll definitely be steaks. There'll be steaks in the happenings. The steaks will be in the conversation. Probably some burger, just nice and something nice and easy. Burgers, dogs, maybe some chicken. Definitely steaks. So nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. All right, let me get rid of the spam, and then we will move on. Spam. All right, direct me to the spam. Okay, I see him. Boom. It's always on Facebook, too. Come on, Zuckerberg, get that going. Tom, Dave, are you doing a show Friday morning? Yes. I haven't even talked to J-Book about that, but if J-Book can't do it, I'll do it solo. Knowing J-Book, he'll be able to do it. But, yeah, I'll be doing a show Friday. We will not be doing a show Saturday. Dan Rubin's getting a much-deserved day off after doing like 5 shows each of the past 2 weeks, and then doing the show yesterday and the show with me Monday. I told Dan, man, it's pretty nice you only have to host 1 show this week after doing 10 combined the last 2 weeks. He didn't even know. He's like, oh, yeah, it's 4th of July. Like, yeah, you only have to host 1 show this week instead of like 5. So I think Dan was happy about that, even though he loves doing the show. As Dan says, and I completely agree with him, we ain't digging ditches. Like, this is fun doing this. This isn't somehow we get paid to do it. Not just the podcast, but it's just, this is fun. You can't really call this work. All right, let's get down to brass tacks here. No pun intended, brass tacks. I like that that's your username, because I always like that phrase. Let's get down to brass tacks, or something about that. I like that. So you look at, who's we talked about this. So who's like in the running with Ohio State? So it's the usual suspects. It's going to come down to Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, or Oregon. Maybe somebody else can get in the mix, but it's going to be one of those 4. I think this is the year Ohio State's going to hold them off. All right, shoot some questions my way. And while you guys do that, I just got a notification on my computer that tomorrow's Independence Day. Thank you. Thank you, Apple MacBook Pro, for letting me know that the July 4th is Independence Day. I really appreciate that. I get the idiot version turned off. Thank you. Can we disable that? Thank you very much. Oh, the 4th of July is Independence Day. There we go. All right. Let me do one more read, and then we're going to get back to matters of business. You guys shoot questions my way, comments, whatever. If it's a comment, I can comment on your comment. Now, Patrick Murphy, I don't know if he's up yet, but if he's up, probably know what he's doing. All right. To be young and talented like Patrick Murphy. All right, guys, listen. I think I speak for most men when I say we want to have better sex. And for the sake of our partner, we may need to have better sex. The issue is that over-the-counter erection pills contain unregulated chemicals, suggest unsafe doses, and include the risk of several other health problems. That's why we partnered with our friends over at Joy Mode. And this is why Patrick Murphy has a smile on his face all the time. Whether you're looking to spice up your intimate moments or increase your confidence in the bedroom, Joy Mode makes all natural and science-backed supplements dedicated to helping men perform better across their core functions. We haven't even told Steve Hellwagon about it because we know he'll just, he might take it a little too far. So you go to usejoymode.com/bucknuts and get 20% off with code Bucknuts at checkout. That's 20% off and free shipping with code Bucknuts at usejoymode.com/Bucknuts. Usejoymode.com/Bucknuts. Great sex solved naturally. Bax is probably lying, isn't he? He's probably at home with the missus, using Joy Mode, saying his hot water heater broke. Hot water heater broke. Okay, Bax. Thanks for telling me in the middle of the show, by the way. No, it's all good. All right, give me some questions. What are we doing? The Oracle, Dave. If Jim Knowles, if his defense gives up 30 points against key teams and we lose, will Dave fire Knowles? Yeah, if he's averaging giving up 30 or more points, so we're talking key opponents. So are we including Iowa? Let's throw Iowa in there since Phil Steele has them 5th in the Big Ten at 18. He's got them ahead of USC. We'll throw Iowa in there. Defense, offensive line, going to be really good. They got Luke Lachey, who Ohio State, they screwed up taking Joe Royer over Luke Lachey. What are you doing? Was it because his dad wasn't good at football? Oh, no, that wasn't it? Oh, okay. I still don't understand taking Joe Royer over Luke Lachey, but whatever. All right. So if he's giving up an average of 30 points, we're including Iowa in there. Okay, let's take Iowa out of it because they're such an outlier offensively. If he's giving up 30 points a game to Oregon, giving up 30 to Oregon might not be a terrible problem if Buckeyes score like 49. But yeah, if he's giving up 30 to Oregon, Penn State, and Michigan combined, then in the Big Ten championship game if they get there, and then in the playoffs and they don't get where they want to go, and the offense is taking care of business, the defense didn't, a lot like what we saw in 2021 and 2022. Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's a result-based business. Jim Knowles would probably say his job would be on the line if he's giving up 30 points a game to key teams, because they're going to dominate some of these teams, and the stats are going to look really good. That's why last year you had the Big Ten, you had the top 4 total defenses in the country were Big Ten teams. Now, were those really the top 4 defenses? Those are top 4 of the top. Were they really the top 4 in the country, meaning Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, and Iowa? Were those the 4 best defenses in the country? Maybe, but they were playing against Big Ten offenses, which were amongst the worst in the nation. If you went and looked at the worst offenses in the country, 6 of, I think, the worst 9 were from the Big Ten last year, across all of 133 teams in FBS. So yeah, everybody's job is on the line this year. They're going all in. They're going all in. Bobby on Facebook, how many first-round picks will we have next year? Well, it's interesting. Matt Miller on ESPN Plus just did a piece yesterday about this. He says 4. And he had Tuimoloau as the first one of those 4 off the board. I'm going to try to remember off the top of my head. So we had Tuimoloau 22nd. Tyleek was next, 24th. Okay, then he had, I know he had a Mecca on there. He didn't have Sawyer. Oh, yeah, Judkins. He had Quinshon Judkins going 27th to the Dallas Cowboys. Last time the Cowboys took an Ohio State running back in the first round worked pretty well. I know Zeke fell off there toward the end. Now he's back with the Cowboys, but he was pretty damn good there for about 4 years. Judkins was 27th, and then Emeka was 30th. I hope JT proves me wrong. I don't see him going in the first round right now. I need to see more out of JT for me. I think he's going to be a solid second-round pick, and I hope he proves me wrong. If JT Tuimoloau becomes a first-round pick, that means he had a really good senior year. Because I don't think it's just going to be – he'll do well at the combine, but I don't think it's going to be like something they've never seen before where if the film isn't there, they're just going to take him in the first round anyway. It's not like he's 6'6". It's not like he's going to go there and run like a 4.3 or something. I mean, he'll test well. But I think Denzel Burke's got a chance to be a first-round pick. I like Matt Miller saying there's going to be 4. I don't know if I agree with the 4, though. I think Burke's going to be a first-round pick. I think he's going to work himself in there. Judkins definitely has first-round talent, I think just because of how the NFL values running backs. I'll say Judkins will be a second-rounder. JT will be a second-rounder. I'll put Burke in there. Man, I'm telling you guys, I think you've heard me say this before. Davison Igbinosun will be in the conversation to be a first-round pick. I mean, he's going to – the film's going to be there this year. I thought he had good film last year. I mean, he was first-year starter at Ohio State, so it was – and kind of wasn't even technically a starter to begin the year until they put him at the outside corner, put Jordan Hancock at slot, and boom, all the pieces fit. You look at an NFL corner, Davison Igbinosun, he's going to definitely help out on the run. He's physical. He's as long as you'd want as a corner, every bit of 6'2" with the long arms. He's fast. He's tough. He's got that attitude I love out of corners. Or you don't want him getting 15-yard penalties, but just that attitude, like he's going to tell you about it. So does Burke. You know, if he knocks that ball away, he's going to let the wide receiver know about it. Hopefully without getting in trouble with, he seems to know where that line is. When you talk to, they call him IGB. When you talk to IGB, he's a very smart young man, very football savvy. Makes no bones about the fact his goal is to be a first-round NFL draft pick. So I think Igbinosun will be in the mix. There's going to be somebody else. Jack Sawyer might have a killer year the way he finished the year last year. 4 sounds right to me. 5 won't shock me, but about 4 sounds right to me. All right, keep them coming. No, I don't think Hancock would be a first-round pick, but I think in fact, Dane Brugler had him as a third-day pick right now, third day, meaning probably closer to 4th round than 7th, but 4th through 7th round. I think Hancock will end up being a second-day pick, but because he's now more of a, pegged as a slot corner, he can play on the outside, but he's not going to wow them with his speed or anything. I think he'll probably be a second-day pick. Dane Brugler is the best in the business. Very long time and loyal guest of the Bucknuts Morning 5. Dan Rubin did a great job forging a relationship with Dane Brugler many years ago. Now Dane's a big-time star, and he's still coming on. So Brugler thinks he's going to be third-day pick right now if he had to pick, but he can work himself. So I think Hancock won't be a first-rounder, but can definitely work his way up. Yes, good morning, Mrs. Sanchez. There you go. Deetra Sanchez, who knows a little thing about really good defensive backs, says, I love IGB. I know. I know there's something about him. He's just all football too. And we talked, they had 3 Iron Buckeyes. Like a lot of guys did good in the offseason program, the winter conditioning. And they named, a lot of guys did well. They did exceptionally well. But the guys that just were the best of the best, almost like the Top Gun, if you will, of winter conditioning, they call Iron Buckeye. And only 3 got it. Sonny Styles was one. That was great to hear. That's huge. It's like, man, if Sonny Styles can just go crazy in the weight room, what can happen? Well, he went crazy in the weight room. So that's good. Josh Fryer, I love hearing that. Josh Fryer is going to be a great right tackle his final year. He needs to do stuff like just completely crush the weight room, and not just the weight room, but the running and everything they do. He did that. And then the third and final guy was IGB, Igbinosun. I mean, you see him, I would never wear a shirt personally. You see him out there, he's not afraid just to take his shirt off. He is cut. He's not, you think of him as just like kind of a skinny corner. He's not, he might be a little trim. I mean, you wouldn't call him thin. You wouldn't call him skinny because he is ripped. He's just not like, he's just not like bulky or anything like that. But I could just go on and on. They're just so loaded at so many different positions. All right, I'll stop rumbling and get to more of your questions. Ooh, I like this one. Doug, if Caleb Downs declared for the NFL, any chance he would have been a first rounder? Oh, if he does declare, which he can't. I know what you're saying. But if for some reason you could after a sophomore year, it's hard for safeties to go in the first round. But you had, the kid from Notre Dame, a couple years ago with the Ravens that went in the first round. That's been a good pick. Yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't be. I mean, again, I know it's tough for safeties to go in the first round, but this kid's special. What he was able to do at Alabama as a true freshman, just to start at Alabama as a true freshman is impressive. And I know it wasn't Saban's best team. They were still a good team. They made the playoffs. Okay, they won the SEC championship and made the playoffs. It wasn't like there was some scrub team for Saban standards. It's still, again, it wasn't one of his best teams or close, but it was still a good team. He is the starting free safety, leads them in tackles with over 100, and was also a playmaker as a true freshman, SEC freshman of the year. So, and I think he's going to have a huge year this year. Yeah, I think he probably would be. I'm selfishly happy he cannot be. I wonder how long that'll be still a rule. I think it's probably going to be like at least they'll knock a year off of it, maybe. Like, how long is that still going to be a rule where guys have to stay in school for 3 years? I don't know. What's Sonny's 40? Mellow. I don't know. I would guess somewhere in the 4.4s. I would guess. And like, are we talking like at the combine? Or are we talking like at OSU's pro day or behind closed doors with Mick? I don't know. It would have to be electronically timed at the combine. I would say 4.45. I'll put it right in the middle. Am I selling Sonny short? What do you guys think? Am I selling him short there? Because keep on, he's bulked up to like he's 235 now. He's 6'4", 235. If he runs a sub 4.40, which I don't think he would, look out. Look out. Oh, he's saying Sonny has. Okay, you guys are in your own little conversation here. Gotcha. He's saying somebody's saying that he has medium speed. And maybe he'd be more in the 4.5s now. I don't know. But he's an athletic freak. I wouldn't be surprised, especially if he is working out as much as they're saying, with the Iron Buckeye, which there's no way that they would fudge that. I wouldn't be surprised if he's still solidly in the 4.4s. Jermaine, what does Denzel Burke have to improve on to be a first rounder? Well, I think I would have said consistency, but I thought he showed that last year. He was really good as a true freshman, considering he was a true freshman, and then struggled as a sophomore, was also banged up, but still struggled as a sophomore. He'd be the first to tell you that. And I thought it was really good last year. Certainly catching the ball. This is like, the old saying, there's a reason that they're corners, not wide receivers. But no, I think he's going to have a big year. Our team's going to challenge him more than they did last year. There were times teams didn't want to challenge him. They were like, let's go after Igbinosun. At least he's unproven. And he proved that he's pretty damn good too. And he'll be better this year. So because Igbinosun is good on the other side, maybe they'll try Denzel a little bit more. But I don't even care about stats when it comes to corners. I've talked a lot about Sean Springs in 1996 for Ohio State. Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, first team All-American. 0 interceptions that whole year because nobody wanted to mess with them. So then nobody threw his way. So he had 0 interceptions the whole year. Still was Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, the number 3 overall pick of the draft, Sean Springs. So, but to answer your question, I think he's just got to be even more consistent. And, if those plays come your way, make those plays. That's going to really turn some heads if all of a sudden you see Denzel Burke doing what he normally does. Oh, and plus he's got a couple of pick sixes there. That's going to make a team really, 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 really want some Denzel Burke on their team as a first rounder. Larry on YouTube, what's my call for Justin Hill today? Buckeye. And they're going to have an early boom before all the fireworks get started. All right, let's get to at least one more here. Brass tacks. Dave, are we too hard on Day, who has never been a head coach on any level, and his first job is with only one of the top 5 all-time great blue blood programs in college football? Well, I don't know. I mean, I think Ohio State fans have been pretty fair to him. I mean, everybody was getting pretty ticked off towards the end of last year. I think everybody is kind of like, all right, let's give him this year. I would have thought if he lost to Michigan 3 straight years and, hadn't won the Big Ten since 2020 that, Buckeye fans, and maybe there are some out there, but Buckeye fans I talk to like him. So I won't say Ohio State fans are too hard on him. I mean, lose to Michigan this year in Columbus, different story. And I don't think they will. But and I also think Buckeye fans, at least for the 2022 game, give Ryan Day almost not a pass for that because of the whole Connor Stallions thing. I mean, you could say that, oh, we don't really know what happened. I mean, and if you have a brain, you know what happened. He's like whispering into the offensive coordinator's ear right before the play. He's whispering into the defensive coordinator's ear right before the play when the Buckeyes have the ball. I mean, obviously that was a real thing. I mean, you barely beat Kyle McCord at home when you win the national championship, but you basically blow out CJ Stroud at the Horseshoe. Come on, with a team that wasn't as good as the one that obviously won the national title for Michigan. So obviously something was up there. So I think that, maybe, has taken some heat off Ryan Day a little bit because they still lost last year and there was no, I say had to change their signs, but there was no Connor Stallions on the sideline last year. Everybody knew the jig was up at that point. So, I mean, they've got to get it done this year. And I definitely think they will. But some people are saying people are too. Richie on YouTube, definitely too hard on Day. And maybe some people are. I will say this. I think the media has been fair to him in Columbus and just people, Cleveland as well. I mean, the Ohio State beat media. I haven't seen anybody come out, they got to fire Ryan Day. Like if you follow soccer, you don't have to be a huge soccer fan. You're seeing a lot of that with Greg Berhalter right now with the United States men's national team. You're seeing a lot of columnists who've had his back saying it's time to part ways with Berhalter. You're not seeing any of that from Ohio State columnists. Certainly not anybody who's like well respected on the beat. So I think he's being treated fairly. Here's another thing that I'll say that he's had to deal with. It's unbelievable. Think about the sea change in college football since he took the helm in 2019. So you're taking over for a legend, which you never want to do that, but he did that. Taking over for a legend and urban legend. So you do that. You really get your heart ripped out in 2019. I mean, that was just the most egregious replay officiating I've ever seen in my life. I mean, that guy was either incompetent or on the take for some of the stuff that happened in that 2019 game. I thought the on-field officials were good. The replay official was just completely compromised in one way or the other. We'll put it that way. So you get your heart ripped out in that 2019. You probably, although I don't think they would have, because Dobbins wouldn't have been able to play. He was too banged up. I don't think they would have been able to beat that Joe Burrow LSU team with no running back, with your backup running back Master Teague in there, because Dobbins was huge that year, over 2,000 yards. But they would have, they should have beat Clemson. They outplayed Clemson and they got screwed. So your heart ripped out year one. Year two, you come back, you're even better. You're looking even better. Year two of Justin Fields, COVID happens, right? And then Kevin Warren and his genius tries to take the season away. Ryan Day's helping spearhead the efforts along with the parents get the season back. They get a condensed season back, make it all the way to the national championship game, blow out Clemson, get that monkey off their back in the semifinals, and then have half their team out for the national championship game against a loaded Alabama team. I don't know if they would. I don't think they would have beat that Alabama team at full strength, but they would have gave them a good game. Having like half the team out didn't help. And then they lost Trey Sermon like the first play of the game. Am I making excuses? I'm just saying what happened. Okay, I was just pissed about the whole program and Ryan Day and everything toward the end of last year. I let my frustrations be known. But I'm just letting you know what happened. So you have all of that. You have all the COVID stuff and then everything happens with NIL and the portal. I mean, being the head coach at Ohio State is tough, period. Like without dealing with NIL, before all that, before the portal where any of your guys could just leave for no reason and be eligible right away. And then you have to be also ready to bring in guys or you're going to be asleep at the wheel like Dabo. All the stuff that Ryan Day's had to deal with, and for him to have Ohio State where they're at right now going into the season, I give him a ton of credit. So maybe people have been too hard on him. I think I've been pretty fair. I was very hard on him like the end of last year, but I never said I want Ryan Day fired. Never, ever. And what he has done since the Cotton Bowl, I know he's had some help from his friends. You get by with a little help from your friends, meaning like the collectives and the boosters stepping up. I get that. But what Ryan Day has done has been extremely impressive. Basically, since the Cotton Bowl ended, everything that he's done has been impressive. And just the type of man he is. And I think this is the year he's going to break through. He's been very close. I mean, he's been very close already. Georgia, they should have beat Georgia 2022. I don't want to skip over that. I mean, they had Georgia basically beat. Marv, it was the correct call that Marv, it was targeting the end zone. It doesn't have to be helmet to helmet for it to be targeting. That was targeting. Marv's knocked out, and the replay official reverses the call. Ohio State wins the game if they don't do that. And then they go on to win the national championship, in my opinion, against TCU. who Georgia just toyed with that whole game. So he's been very, very close. He's got to break through. He can't just be close this year. Now, if he goes, what would it be? Like goes 14-0 to the national championship game, wins the Big Ten, or I guess it would be 15 though. You win the Big Ten, you win the first 2 games, 15-0. You're in the national championship game. You beat Michigan. You beat everybody. And you lose like on a last-second field goal against a really good Georgia team or whoever might be that next best team. I wouldn't say that's a failure. You're 15-1 and you lost on the last-second field goal in the national championship game. We'd have to see the result. But anything less than beating Michigan, obviously, winning the Big Ten, that's a huge disappointment. You have to make the playoff at least. And to me, you got to win the Big Ten and have one of those top 4 buys. You have a top 4 bye, at least win a game or 2. That'll at least get you in, okay, it's been a good year. But this is the year. I mean, Ryan said it himself. The goal is to beat the team up north and win the national championship. And I'm usually not a national championship or bust guy, but I am this year. Again, not completely. I'd have to see exactly how it played out. I'm not going to say I'm going to call the year a bust if they're 15-1 and they lost on some fluky play in the national championship game. But listen, I think they have the best roster in college football. Georgia has them at a couple of positions, quarterback being one of them. But I like Will Howard, though. That's more of a tip of the cap to Carson Beck, who I wasn't sure of going into last year. He made me a believer, obviously. I mean, he's a really good player. A lot of people who do this for a living or do NFL draft analysis for a living have Carson Beck going number 1 in next year's draft. Now, obviously, quarterbacks get a big bump, but still. Offensive line, they've got a better offensive line on paper than Ohio State does. I would take the Buckeyes at every other position over the Bulldogs, which is saying a lot because they got a really good roster. Other teams have some really good rosters too. Can't forget about Alabama, Oregon. Oregon's going to be a problem. So it's going to be fun. But all right, I did not mean to go 42 minutes solo. Flew by. Hey, I had a couple weeks off the previous. I had a lot to get off my chest in a good way, I think. Really appreciate you guys. Sorry if I didn't get to your questions or your comments, but I appreciate the ones that were submitted, and great talking Ohio State football with you. Make sure you guys, stay locked to Bucknuts, 1 p.m. Justin Hill. I think we're going to have good news, but you never know. But 1 p.m. today, hopefully an early 4th of July present for Ohio State and really our country in general. But seriously, thanks to all of you. I really appreciate it. I hope Bax gets his hot water heater fixed. I hope all of you have a great 4th of July, whatever you're doing. Enjoy your 4th of July. Happy birthday, America. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.